What's up, Kingdom of Rock? This is Matt Gibson, and we're here today, Thursday, August 27th, 2020, the year of craziness in the music industry, the world. Everything's falling apart, but we're here celebrating music, and we've got some awesome guests today. I'm here with Michael Melenda. How's it going, Michael?
Good. How's it going, everybody?
Well, technically, Michael's not a guest. He's co-host, but speaking of guests, though, we have some amazing guests today. We have Mr. Graham Bonnet and Beth-Ami Heavenstone from the Graham Bonnet Band. How's it going, guys?
Very good at the moment.
Excellent.
This is nerve-wracking, isn't it? I'm wondering what's going to happen next. You know, who's going to say something that's be really untoward or ruin their whole career for the rest of the...
Oh, that'll be you.
Their life. Yeah, that'll be me. I'm going to say something completely wrong, put my foot in my mouth, and the rest of me probably... Oh, okay.
Well, so you have Steve Graves here and Santiago Caballero Navia. So you've got two fans who are raring to go. So go ahead and spew.
Spew? What did he say? You know, I'm deaf. And another thing, I didn't know I was grey until this thing happened. This virus dude. I was tucked away in a corner somewhere like everybody else, and I thought, "Fuck, what's happened?" You know, I've suddenly got. And for Richie Blackmore, when he kept telling me to go get my hair cut constantly, he was very pleased. Can you see this? This is the longest I've had my hair. Can you see it? Look at it.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
The longest I've had my hair in about 354 years. You know.
Wow.
I mean, I've always had my hair short because when you have short hair, you have to have it clipped, cut all the time. So this is the grey me, which I'm not ashamed of. I am old and all the rest of it. So I'm wearing it proudly, and I've given up doing the dye. You know what? Why should I do the hair coloring when I know how old I am, and so does everybody else?
So Graham, when you let your hair grow out, does the lead singer disease get worse or better? What's the short?
What you can hit higher notes when you cut your hair. What, like a Samson Delilah thing you're talking about? Do you get weaker?
Yeah, that's true.
No, I think what he said, do you become more of an a-hole?
Well, exactly. I see. That's why I didn't get that.
Isn't that lead singer's disease? You know?
Yeah, it's got that sort of. Well, depends on who you're asking. I'm a guitar player and a singer, so I'm really conflicted about that. I don't know what that means.
I don't think it's singers. I think it's guitar players most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was such a bold move, you know, for me as a music fan. When you first came out with Rainbow, you know, with that rockabilly haircut, I was like, who the hell is this guy? What the heck is going on? You know, it was an amazing way to kind of turn around the current look, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was a little scary, you know. I've told Bethany that she's heard this story a billion times. But I mean, when the first show I did with Rainbow, when we appeared in wherever it was, San Diego or somewhere, at this huge bloody venue, and people had pictures outside of everyone but me, and I sort of wondered why. They were holding like drawings they made. Then I saw one person who had a drawing of me with the right haircut and the whole thing. But that night, I was getting the finger from kind of everybody because Ronnie Dio was no longer there, you know, and they were giving me a finger shouting, go and fuck off, you faggots, and whatever, blah, blah, blah. And so it was a little disconcerting, but there's a song we do in the set. I've told this so many times. There's a song we do in the set sometimes called Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow? And these guys that were at the front of the stage, I thought, well, if they're going to really knock me and piss me off and make me be really embarrassed, I'm going to embarrass them. So, you know, tonight you're mine completely. Well, you know the words, you know. So they're standing there, you know, with their hair and the whole thing. I mean, I used to have long hair at one point, but it got on my nerves. Anyway, so I go down to the front of the stage, sit on the stage, and I sing right at them, you know, tonight you're mine completely. You give your love so sweetly, you know. And they started laughing. And then from that point on, I felt safe because I realized that I could get across to the brothers I used to have when I was a long-haired hippie type, and I was getting through to them again, even though I've been to the barbers a couple of times. You know, it's not the hair; it's what comes out of your mouth. Is that what you said? Sorry. But you know what I mean? It's the musician, not the length of his hair or other parts.
Yeah, and I think like for some reason, you know, I grew up in the 80s. Michael was, I don't know if I was even born when you were. No, I was about, I got a 70. I was born in 70. So Rainbow was like what, 78, 79,
Yeah,
something
well,
like that.
79, 80. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just a kid. But definitely like shoot, I don't even remember where I was going with that question. Michael gave me
the senior.
Oh no, I know what it was. Michael looked at me funny when I made the joke about not being born yet. So, but yeah. So like, as far as like being in a band like Rainbow at that time, you know, as you mentioned, you know, the pressure had to be pretty immense to fill those shoes after Ronnie. Yeah. But I mean, you're a totally different type of singer. Like you have a different type of stage presence and everything. How were you tempted to try to emulate Ronnie at all, or did you just just be yourself and just do it?
How could I? You know, with a white sports coat and a pink carnation and all that stuff that I wore, you know, and a Hawaiian shirt, whatever the hell it may be. You know, I couldn't because, well, I tell you the truth. When I went to audition for Rainbow, I thought, well, I don't belong here. You know, I went to Switzerland or wherever it was. It was on the border of France and Switzerland. I can't remember. Chateau Pelé. It's called Chateau Pelé, where they were recording the tracks for the Down to Earth album. And I went there and I did the audition, and I thought, I don't feel right. I felt uncomfortable because, you know, the guitar player was doing all the widdly widdlies and cozy bashing those drums like crazy. When I've been used to sort of just being in the studio and recording whatever I liked, R&B or pop songs, and this didn't feel right. I was very scared of actually being in front of these incredible musicians. So what I did for the audition was stand off mic and keep in case I fucked up. And the audition piece was Mistreated, and so I did it 3 times, and they said that's great. They could hear me. You know, it was in a big echoey sort of cathedral ceiling room in this chateau, and they could hear me. And then Don Airy started laughing, and the other guys did, and I said, "But this time, can you do it on microphone?" And that's they said the job is yours. You know. It's the old joke, you know. I don't need a microphone. They can hear me in the back of the room. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's so bloody loud, you know. So, you know, it was wrong for me though. I went back home to London and I said to my manager that this I don't fit. You know, I don't have the flowing robes and the chains or whatever else it may be, the accoutrement, you know, for the so-called heavy, you know, rock singer. That wasn't my thing. I was more into, you know, I love pop music. I love the Beach Boys, the Beatles. You know, that kind of stuff. That's what I was used to singing, you know, being in a band that played in pubs every night. And my God, how the circle has come around again. And that's what I'm doing now. You know, I was playing pubs again. But anyway, that was my manager's decision for me to go back and try again. So I went back and started recording with Roger Glover producing. And I'm glad I did, you know.
Well, I think... given what do you think actually got you that gig besides pure ability? I mean, did you interact with them in any other ways where they thought, hey, this guy's a cool dude, or you know, because I think sometimes musicians make the mistake that talent alone is what gets them the job.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm a wonderful person. I think, you know, I was very friendly with all those guys. You know, I got on with them straight away, even though Richie didn't like the short haircut, which the other guys thought was very funny. But I'm just one of those people that doesn't want a serious, you know, what's the word, compatible life or confrontational. I like to lay back, like my dad was like that. And let's keep well away from trouble. Don't get involved with stuff that you don't know anything about. So I listened to what Roger Glover told me when we played, when we actually recorded in the studio, and I listened to his words of wisdom because Roger was in Deep Purple, and what a great producer, bass player. And he became my best friend for a couple of months, you know, because he gave me an idea for the songs and I would sort of interpret them the way I thought they should go. But, you know, Roger gave me a good clue as what what was what and how to present this so-called heavy rock persona, which I already had, but never had time to sort of bring out in front of a rock band as such. Is that? Did I say that right?
I stopped listening like.
Yeah, I just. I got bored and got halfway through.
Speaking of other guests,
Okay.
we need to ask Beth-Ami a question. She's getting bored.
Yeah,
No,
there
I'm
you
just
go.
kidding. Well, no, Beth-Ami. So you've been playing with Graham for about what, 5-10 years now? Like, how long have you guys been?
I think we're on like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Wait. I think we met in 2012, 2013 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 7.
Something like that. Yeah.
And you guys, like, what's it like to go out on the road and, see all the fans, like, since you've been gone was like huge songs for you guys. Like, was that, Graham, by the way, side question, did that come out of the Roger Glover stuff?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, that was a Russ Ballard song, and Russ has written songs for us too, also for the Graham Bonnet band, also in the past. He's written two more songs, didn't he? 2 songs, was it? He wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Living in Suspicion and My Kingdom Come.
Yeah,
He's
So,
amazing.
yeah. I mean, we're always in touch, and but he's just a great writer, and he's very he can sort of write songs in any kind of style. You got to tell him what you want and get on the phone. Well, could you put a size 8.5 on that and a bit of WD-40? Oh, absolutely. So he knows what I'm talking about. If I say make that little bit there more like what's that?
Queen or something.
No, that song he did. And if it's bad, then let you.
Hold Your Head Up.
Yeah, hold your head up. On the last song, I remember saying to him, could you do it a little bit like that? I love that part in that song, but kind of do it in a modern way. And he's absolutely, So I could talk to him on the phone for half an hour, and he can say, "Oh, you mean like this?" Yeah, he's a great guy. Very, very nice guy.
So sweet.
He is. Isn't he?
Lovely.
We do have a question here. Well, a comment by Steve Gray. Beth-Ami, you had such an energetic, bold presence at the Orlando show last year. Great bass sound and didn't slow down all night. So let's see.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another one. Graham, I saw you with Rainbow in Rochester, New York. After the show, I sat in the hotel bar with you and the band for 90 minutes. It was awesome. You've been my favorite singer ever since. Thank you. That's Steve Gray.
Oh.
Both comments were from Steve
From
Gray.
my cousin. It's one of the Bonnet family, right? Yeah, I think I've read that. Yeah. There's been a few people who've been extra nice, and I sometimes wonder why, because
Because you're really good.
I'm a good
Sorry.
fucking. But back then, I was wondering how people understood me. What with my accent and my slurring. Oh, I used to drink quite a lot, and I hung out in the bar probably too late some nights after shows, and I became absolutely nice in many ways. I would say, okay, I think I've had enough now. I go to bed. I was one of those guys. If I didn't go to bed, soon enough, I would fall asleep in front of everybody. I didn't want to do that. But I have done that. But these days I'm dry, and I'm glad to say, like a lot of my friends are, we all went through that stage of, chemical independence.
Oh yeah. I've been through that. 20 years in the military. I was drinking pretty good when I got out.
Oh man.
Had to give that up,
Yeah. You think you can do it?
Look at Beth-Ami.
We're having a little petite Bloody Mary as we speak. Because I drink for him. He doesn't drink. I do it.
Yeah, yeah.
I drink by proxy.
That's a good word.
Well, Graham, one of the things that's interesting about you is your stamina and all that. Because when I did some research for this, you never know what's happening in the recording studio. But I know a lot of hard rock singers actually sing softer than it sounds when you hear it compressed and EQ'd and all that. But looking at some of your live footage with Beth-Ami, you're like that Roger Daltrey growler. You really scream that stuff out. It's amazing how loud a singer you are in real life. And it's do you have to do anything to kind of keep your voice in shape? Because that's got to be hard on you.
Well, it is. I must remember to open my mouth most of the time. But I went to a speech therapist. I I don't know, probably about 4 years ago, because I always have my voice checked out when I go on tour, make sure that nothing's falling out or rotting away or whatever. And she said to me, do you realize how loud your speaking voice is? And I said, well, you should hear me sing. And I sang at her, and she said, no, I'm basically doing everything wrong. I have a loud speaking voice, which I can't hold back because I'm deaf. I'm very deaf, and I have tinnitus and all that kind of shite. So my voice has to be loud for me to, but I've always had a loud voice since I was a little kid. I used to listen to the radio with Mario Lanza on the radio, back in the 1950s, and sing along with people like that. And my mom and dad were amused by that. So I thought, oh, this is good. My mom and dad think I'm pretty, groovy and all that. So I would sing with Mario Lanza or with any of those opera singers, along with, people like Tony Bennett. And I didn't know what the songs were about, but it developed this loud voice. And also I have a large lung capacity like my granddad. I'm built basically a lot of air here and a very slim waist, a lot of big chest. He sounds pornographic. This is not porn. My granddad had a big chest like I do. It's like a barrel almost, and a very slim and tight stomach. In fact, one of my friends used to call me Greyhound. Like the Greyhound, the body of this Greyhound.
Yeah, sure.
And so I have a large lung capacity, which is always good for, balancing a note, keeping it there, holding the note, and keeping it steady without, without doing vibrato. So I'm just lucky still to have some kind of resemblance to the voice I had back in, when I was 20 or whatever. It's still there, but it's of course it's tiresome. The touring is tiresome. And sometimes that gets me down and I have a bit of a problem. But, after a good night's sleep, if we ever get one, I'm okay, aren't I?
Yeah.
She knows what I'm talking about.
Our touring schedule, it just got rougher and rougher and rougher as time wore on. That's why one of the reasons I left, 21 shows in 24 days, the 3 days off were actually travel days. It was grueling. And then our set list was growing. So when we first started touring, our set list was like, 12 songs or something. And towards the end, when I left, it was 20 something. And I mean, it's so hard. It's hard on me. And I'm playing an external instrument. Imagine what it's like. I'm 72 years old and having to use a part of your body, his whole body. It's rough. And, we recently, or he, I should say, because I was in Alcatraz with him and I left that band in January, and recently his manager just resigned. So I'm hoping that in his future touring or our future touring that we go back to what it was with a more reasonable set list and days off. You can call.
Well, what does that look like? What does that look like today? Like in today's world, like is touring, like obviously you guys are going to have to fight for slots, because everybody's trying to get back on the road again. But how do you keep your schedule full if you're, like how do you go from 12 to 20? Like what causes all of that to happen?
An unreasonable management who was making the set list.
Oh, really? Management does the set list? I would think that would be the purview of the artist, actually.
Yeah,
you would think, but it really,
thank you.
Things just very gradually sort of got out of control. Got out of it stopped being the band, and it was management who was making all the decisions that impacted the band.
Well, I know that when you start out, maybe you're doing 45-minute sets or whatever, and then you guys are headlining or whatever, and it's an hour and a half set. I mean, is that the reason the set list expanded, or was it just because management wanted you ready to do those long sets, or who knows?
I think because he has such a robust back catalog, he wanted to get a little bit of everything in there, and he thought, with every tour, well, because he's been in so many bands that did well, let's offer some of this, and it just was crazy. The last time we played in Japan, it was over 2 hours. It was insane. And I love it, and I can actually do it. It's not, I prior to COVID hitting, I was in reasonable shape, but when it's for drums and vocals, that's really tough.
Well, I think what Matt was getting to as well is we don't know what the touring situation is going to be, when we can tour, what the economics of touring will be when we all get back. And do you feel that, management's going to take over and they're going to say, I'm sorry, Graham and Beth-Ami, I know you'd rather have 3 days off between shows, but, we can't afford it. We got to have you in the city every day. And, No,
that's not a problem because we don't have management. So we're just kind of going direct right now.
Yeah.
And so we had a really interesting conversation with a promoter today. And even though I know everybody's going to be clamoring for spots, not everybody is, got Graham's rich history. So I don't think it'll be too hard to work.
Well, we hope, in theory anyway, but like everybody is clamoring, as you're saying. And I think obviously the bands that are really well known, we're going to be in the background. It's going to be hard.
Okay, stop that. You're projecting negativity.
No, I'm just being honest.
Well, what happened is a lot of things that were booked for 2020 were shifted to 2021 and now maybe 2022, depending on what happens. And whatever happens, it's going to be okay. I don't even know if I'm going to, necessarily. I'd love to do a little more touring, but I don't want it to go back to what it was. I was miserable. I didn't like it.
Yeah,
I didn't like the people I was playing with. I didn't like the way anything was going. So
everything was going wrong.
The only way I would consider doing it is if it's, if I'm with my pack, with the people that I enjoy playing with or whatever. That's the only way I would do it. Because I'm fine. Even if I never get out of the garage, I'm happy just rehearsing. I don't need. I had a great time. Don't get me wrong, and it was a dream come true. But I don't need it, and it doesn't. I make more money staying home than I do going on the road. So
that's kind of a good point too. I think that COVID might have a lot of bands reassess because, like you said, you want your family with you or the cool peeps, and a lot of bands might look at their lineup and go, our guitar player is kind of a dick, or our drummer is kind of a jerk, or our bass player never, not you, of course, but our keyboard player never shows up on time. And, it might get to the point where when we go back, we only want groovy people to play with. And that might cause a few people to get pink flipped,
I would not doubt for a second that this situation has made a lot of people rethink their situations in general. This virus is life-changing for so many people. So I wouldn't be surprised if there are some changes. I don't think life's ever going to be the same. Even when the world opens up again, I think things are going to be indelibly changed.
Well, it's not easy to make decent money as a touring act unless you're headlining, major venues, and I think like when Graham, you went through the 60s and 70s and you did the 100% genuine rock star deal, everything that we thought about, a rock star back in the 80s and 90s. That's what you did. You did all of that stuff. How is it? I mean, what does it do to you as an artist, like to go from that to where you're like struggling to, play clubs and make a decent living,
I know it's a kick in the bollocks, to put it one way. It's so weird to go back to square one, because since I was 19 years old, I was always treated like babied basically by management and by people around me. Everything was done for me. Now suddenly things have changed for everyone. Richie Blackmore was playing in a club down the street from a place we were playing in England, and it was a pub. And you're thinking, Richie's playing pubs, so what the hell is going on? But at one time, when Richie first started, it was the same thing. You had your taxis paid, you had a guy that drove you around, you had your butt wiped, and you could someone held your dick while he pissed. It was everything was going on. And suddenly you realize I was a baby, and I still am, because as Bethany knows, I didn't know how to sign a fucking check, until a couple of years ago. I had no idea, because people were spending my money for me, and unfortunately probably still are if I made any money along the way. And it's it's an eye-opener and very depressing at sometimes. But at least the music in me, the music, I got the music in me. The music inside, it keeps me going. You know, there's always something here. And every time I pick up the guitar, there's a new song somewhere. There's always poetry. You can always do this. Whether you have an audience or not, that I don't know. But I hopefully we will be playing next year with a bit of luck.
Well, we're working on another record right
now. I heard about that. What's up with the record? Can you talk about it?
Yeah.
Well, we signed a 3-album deal with Frontiers, and we put 2 albums out. So this is the last in the trilogy, and it's a convoluted story. But Conrad had left the band for a period of time, but when it came time to do this again, he reached out to me, even though I had left Alcatraz. I'm like, I'm done. I'm not doing this. He said, would you play with me, please? I wrote a song about you. He wrote one for a friend of mine that passed away. And he also wrote one about our sons. So I said, I agreed to play on it. And when we started playing together again, it was magical. It felt so good for both of us, I dare say.
Yeah.
And
right there.
And then
I think we're breaking up here.
Yeah.
Say that last one again, Beth-Ami.
When we needed a guitar, I said, why don't we bring Conrado back? That was the guitar player that played on the first record, which turned out really great. He's a really musical guy, and he had the time, and so the 3 of us are spending time together again, and it feels so right, because we were the germ originally that the flowers sprouted from. We were the seed, the 3 of us.
Right.
So it's good to have him back. We missed him. It's good. Yeah. He's a very musical guy.
Making albums these days, I mean, I don't want to mention the band, but you can probably, it's a band with 2 guitar players. I interviewed one guitar player, and it was all, oh, we're so happy to make this. It's going to be awesome. And, our fans are going to want it, and blah, blah, blah. And the other guitar player said, no one's going to buy this thing. No one's buying records. I don't know why we put all the time into it. But I have to play guitar. I have to create. It doesn't matter if anybody cares or not. I have to be a musician. Are you guys in the middle of that kind of thing? I mean, when you approach a record,
100%, it's the process. And for Graham, it's in his soul. He has to get it out. It's like he'll blow up if he doesn't write and play.
That actually on social media, that would probably make you a lot of money.
Explosions. Yeah.
Well, I've known Graham for a long time. We've lived together, and it was so funny. My daughter came to me when he first moved in with us, and she said, "Mom, does he ever stop? Because he's always singing and playing." And I said, "No." So she moved out.
Bless her heart.
No, she got
old. Does it ever stop?
No, I mean, she's like, I have so much like sneaky footage. I don't know if you've seen those of him where I'll come around the corner and he's been singing and playing on his own, and I catch him. I catch him in the bathroom. I mean, I
doing more.
Yeah. I've caught you multiple times. But anyway, he's just constantly.
That would be a good.
Constantly.
Question from Scott F. Is Joe Stump still involved in these projects?
He's Alcatraz, right?
Yeah, we're doing is a completely separate thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Joe is Alcatraz, the other guy. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Sorry, Scott.
And who's in the right now? Who's in the Graham Bonnet band? Who's the members?
Well, before you say anything, the drummers are secret.
We got it. Yeah, we have
to be announced.
There's going to be a few people. So
I'm sorry, I'm getting myself.
Yeah. I mean,
we have a lot of amazing guests on this record. Like, I'm so stoked. Like me, who came out here to go to college, not be in a band or whatever, to be attached to, just to be attached to Graham in general was amazing. But now to have these other people playing on the record, and I get to say, yeah, I did a record with that person, is amazing. But it's a surprise, so I can't tell you.
No, that's
our
Well,
hearts.
gee, who cares then? No.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah.
You can't tell us. Hey, speaking of drummers, I did want to just acknowledge the fact that Frankie Banali from Quiet Riot and Graham, you guys were in a band together, recently passed away from his from cancer, and it's really sucks. And I'm sure, but maybe you could share a memory of you working with Frankie.
Yeah.
Is it?
Again, I was talking about him the other day with
He was
Bethany.
in tears.
I kept in touch with him while he was in hospital all the time. One thing I said to him was, Frankie, you don't look good bald. You know, where's that big mane of hair when you look like a lion? You know, I said, I want to see that growing back. You know, and then now he's left us, but I always remember we got on very well. We made an album with a band called Blackthorn with Bob Kulick, who unfortunately died.
Who also recently passed away. Yeah.
This year has been shit for everyone, you know, emotionally, especially for musicians that are losing friends who don't deserve to go. Their time isn't up. They're always creating, and Bob was one of those guys. But Frankie, again, a great freaking drummer. We worked, I don't know how long on the album, Blackthorn album, but I remember going to the studio early, and he used to get there early because I would take a cab or whatever, and he would drive there, or he just set his kid up or something. And I just remember when everybody's wearing those baggy shorts and the boots and shit, you know, and the kilt and whatever else. He had these big shorts that were like a tent. You know, I thought, what the fuck? You know, I saw him in the morning putting his drums on, these flapping shorts everywhere, and he just pulled them all the way up, right up to his shoulders, and just walked around the studio like this. Big pair of shorts, walking around the studio. I mean, that's the way Frankie was. You know, I knew him as that person. I've heard other stories where people have said, how come you got on so well with him? Because I do. I liked him instantly as a player, as a person. And he was a lion. He was a lion. Bless him. And wherever he is, Frankie, we all love you. We really do. You know, and he's missed by so many freaking people. It's unbelievable. What, you know, you've seen Facebook and whatever. You know, it's incredible. But at the same time, he was unliked by some people. I didn't get it. I didn't get it at all.
I gotta get the dog's pig here. I'll be right back.
You didn't get what?
Hey?
You didn't get what? I missed that.
I can't remember. What was I saying?
Oh, you're talking about Frankie and how people asked you how you got along with him.
Oh yeah, because some people didn't get along with him, and I didn't get it. I thought, what with Frankie? It's like, well, I hear stories about me when I'm really quite a friendly person, but a lot of people say, what a fucking asshole. You know, that a lot of people, you know, it depends on you have that instant, you know, connection with somebody you meet. You go, I like you, and you don't know why. It's like a vibration, to be really hippie and all that shit. But some people you meet them instantly, and you probably said, hey, how are you? You know, and suddenly you fall in love with that person, and they're with you for life. And it's a great feeling. But some other people you meet go, what a fucking, you know, you get a vibe, a vibration, whatever it may be. You have a feeling for people. Their personality comes out by the first words they speak somehow. I mean, that's what I find anyway. That sounds very stupid, you know, and sort of.
We all get it. We've all experienced
you know, but
I thought Michael was an asshole the first time I even met him. So
right, I thought he did.
But I did some work for Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, and Frankie did a few of those camps, and
that's
got to be a hard thing for a rock star to do, because you've got the business plan is you have doctors and lawyers and people like that who can afford the camp, who want to hang out with rock stars, and that could be a situation where it's just terrible for someone like Frankie or anybody. But you know, all the reports that we got about him was he was just absolutely gracious and, you know, fun to be around for all the campers, and made them feel good, and gave them a lot of, you know, he gave back a lot. So I think that's the kind of legacy I'm thinking of about him, you know.
Yeah, I think you get back what you give. And he saw I was a kind-hearted, open person. I'm very honest. You know, if I fuck up, I say, "Oh, fuck I'm sorry. You know, whatever. You know, you get what you give. And we both shared that great friendship immediately. I didn't know him after we, finished the band. Of course, I know him. When the band had finished recording, I didn't see him for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
And he called me up for a session. I remember probably about, it must have been 10 years later or something. And I was going through a terrible time. I was coming off booze, and he called me up. He wanted me to do a Led Zeppelin album. That was it. He wanted me to sing this track. And I tried to sing this bloody song. It was that that thing. What's it called?
Immigrant Song.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. I never remember type. I forget my name sometimes.
I like how yodeling.
Let the wind blow high, let the wind blow low. It was a Scottish one. Yeah, that song. And I tried to record it with a friend of mine called Tim Luce, who was a bass player and was in the band with me as well. And Frankie was producing this album of Led Zeppelin covers with lots of singers and really great players. And I just sort of was drying out, and I tried to sing this bloody thing, and I couldn't do it. And it was bugging me like crazy. And I called him up. I said, Frankie, I just can't do this. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I need to take time out to recover myself, because I've become this idiot who was coming down from a lot of years of drinking and was confused and nervous and in fear of opening his mouth to sing. And he said to me, Graham, he said, whatever you want. He said, Graham, don't worry about it. You're the best, you know. And he instead of saying, well, fuck you,
Sorry.
he complimented me, you know. And that was him. That was a
I'm
dog.
so sorry in the middle of that. Well, Matt, you know about my recent medical history. I just totally lost my balance. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't notice it until you said something.
Yeah,
You didn't
Good
see the
job.
you could have skated through that one, but well, as far as writing the current album, do both of you feel any pressure to write for the now, or do you just disregard that completely and just look for the best tune? Because I know a lot of artists are, painfully fearful of being relevant. Does that factor into your writing process at all, or should it factor into your writing process?
I think no.
No, I don't think. But I mean, at the moment, it's don't fix if it ain't broke, So
Don't
broke if it ain't fixed.
Yeah, exactly.
It's whatever you like, but it's. I think I am now, and this band, whatever band I'm in, is recognized by doing, by playing so-called hard rock or heavy metal. It ain't so heavy metal. I call it hard rock music, and I can't escape that box.
Well, also it's frontiers. I mean, they're expecting a certain amount of
rock and roll.
Yeah.
Well,
so what do you think about
putting song or whatever? I've got to stay in that area, but
they're open and welcoming to whatever you present.
Yeah. I mean,
what about like when Ozzy came out with his new record, and he got like Post Malone, some pop artists, and he collaborated with them. What's your take on stuff like that, where you do crossover, you try to expand your fan base? Like, do you want to just stay true to your a certain type of art form, or do you want to?
Yeah, I'd like the music talking about crossing over. I don't know if I'd like to do anything with somebody who is taking advantage of someone else's talent, which I think, unfortunately, that's what happens. I remember being disappointed with Paul McCartney. It sounds stupid, this, but it isn't. I know it was trying. Michael Jackson was really big. Paul McCartney records a song with him. Stevie Wonder. All these really. When the Beatles were done.
Don't you pick on Sir Paul. And
Sir Paul, the Beatles are my heroes, but that's why I was disappointed, because he's sort of using other people's talents to get him to where he was. And since Paul started to go out on his own, I haven't really heard an album, which I have and never played them, because I played a couple of tracks off one of his albums. But I was really like, oh, where did Penny Lane go, and all those great songs that he wrote in the day, that magic and those images that the Beatles used to paint. Eh?
Died with John Lennon.
They did, yeah. I think he did need John. He needed John to drive him a bit, I think. You know.
Well, there's always
like, come on, I'll do when I'm 64 again. You know.
I mean, there's always that thing as an artist matures, it's difficult. You know, I mean, Paul, Paul hasn't had me for dinner lately, ha ha ha. But I mean, he might think he's still writing amazing stuff, but the public just isn't ready to buy it, you know?
Yeah, I know. Well, that's me.
Someone who stays creative. And I mean, to a lesser extent, what I was trying to get to is the same with you guys. You know, you've got a long career. I just wonder, and I kind of agree with you, like, unless you really want to explore other stuff, like I'm not sure Ozzy really wanted to explore writing with Post Malone. That just so much like a marketing ploy that it kind of pisses me off.
Exactly.
That you were disappointed in Paul for working with Michael, But that said, I mean, trying to stay relevant as a writer, trying to maintain your audience as a writer, I think it's difficult for mature artists.
Mostly because like youth always refreshes. Youth always refreshes. There's always going to be the younger generation, the new generation that wants their pop music, or people create music that they think they want and then make them want it. So like now, I've actually seen YouTube videos where people are having guitar solo duels. One guy is playing a keyboard on a computer, playing the guitar on a keyboard on the computer, right? Like typing keyboard, like this kind of keyboard, And it's like, and it sounded as good as the guitar solo, right? Because the sampling is just so good. And people learn how to play the samples to make it sound good, but it's not the same. Is that talent?
Technology has sucked the heart out of music.
Yeah.
There, I said
you said it.
I said it.
Yeah, I agree, because it's just like, you press one key down on the keyboard, you got a fucking arrangement. I know what it's like. I mean, I've even played Moog, or Moog, if you will, on some albums past. And I can't play keyboards to save my fucking life. But the engineer said to me, well, Graham, just switch that there, do that there, and you get a sample of this, and this will go, you'll get that. And just all you have to do on this, there was a little wheel on the Moog, I remember. It made woo, woo. It made it sort of detune and tune or something.
No,
What?
You were a little Richard again.
I'm doing a little Richard again. I'm like, woo! That's so I would do this. And he said, Graham, when this part comes up, he said, I want you to press that key and go, wah, wah. And I did that and thought, wow, fucking, it sounded great, but I wasn't doing anything. I'm not a keyboard player, never will be. But
it's like a whammy bar.
A little bit. Pardon?
Exactly.
It's kind of like a whammy bar. You give somebody that can't play guitar a guitar plugged into a tube amp, crank up the distortion, and then put their hand on the whammy bar, and they sound like a guitar god.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
2 seconds.
I know. It's I like to hear a guitar sound like a guitar, which is very rare. Instead of that, frying bacon thing.
There's that.
Oh yes, I remember music.
You wouldn't imagine how much frying bacon I had to listen to as editor or guitar player.
Oh, I can imagine, man.
Frying bacon.
Frying bacon, but anyway, I don't eat meat.
You do have the option when you use Pro Tools these days to use it as just a recorder and kind of record as you would back in the 70s or 80s or 90s, or to use it as this multifaceted technical device that you can, cut and paste and all that. When you go into the studio, do you still like to get a take down like you would in the old days, or do you edit stuff together?
Oh God, it's editing now, which is a lazy way of doing things. You don't have to do too much because the computer will do it for you if you let it. But I'm one of those people that likes to go and do the old school way. I'm like, can I do that again? But I said, no, we don't have time. Look, we've got they need the album by 3:30 this afternoon or whatever. And so instead of going in there and what I what most singers or players do, you're going for days working on one track back in the 60s. And, make sure that track is as perfect as it can be. And if I noticed or, anybody played the wrong note or one word in a line sounded weird, I would say, can I replace that? Can I just go and sing that one word, which you did? But now you can, auto-tune, blah, 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 take a bit from here and a bit from there. You can Frankenstein a whole bloody song. You can go in there and just go, hello, my name is Graham. And they come out, hello, my name. It'll come out as some guy who can sing. And it's amazing. There's no music anymore. I want the music to come back, which sounds so fucking old-fashioned and fuddy-duddy, because you remember your parents saying, it's not like it used to be in my day, music was real music. You could dance to it and everything. It's not that at all. It just really has gone. The business is there, and it's there for people who last 2 or 3 years and are disposable, so-called musicians. I haven't heard anything recently, even from my kids, that's been remotely recognizable as music. It's like, what the fuck is that? So now I get in the car with my daughter, my oldest daughter, and my 2 grandkids, and they're listening to the Beatles, And I'm going, what the hell? They're listening to the Beatles, the Beach Boys, and Martin Knopfler.
That's because you talk.
Because it's my fault. You will listen to this or die. But that's, to me, that's real music. I can't say any more than that. Real people who think mathematically in a way that Brian Wilson does when he makes up an arrangement, like, let's say, God Only Knows. What an amazing song that is. The chord sequence, everything. The way the melody is written above the chord sequence. You can't get any better than that. Strawberry Fields Forever, John Lennon. You can't get any better than that. How inventive was that? And when I saw George Martin explain how they did, I Am the Walrus, it was all in different keys. And they had to, sort of slow the machine down by hand, which we used to hold the tape spool and slow things down or spin it faster, whatever, to get it in the right key. And that's what they did with I Am the Walrus. It was in like 3 different keys or something. But I was lucky enough to, see him, George Martin, talk about it and his Beatles experience, so to speak. But he was definitely the 5th Beatle. And he was so inventive. And he's another guy that we've lost, Yeah. What a musician. Incredible musician.
Well, there's also, I think, this could be me being an old fogey, but I think we've lost the narrative flow of songs, because now it's like you get the master chorus and you just cut it into every chorus and sing, exactly. Or master intro or whatever. And we've kind of lost this ability to have a musician take us through the song from a narrative standpoint, where, you Graham, where it's, back in the day, did you sing the 3rd chorus the same way you sang the 1st chorus? I doubt it. No, we did them all differently. But now exactly. I mean, what? We had
a problem actually on the 2nd album. The producer thought he was being crafty, and he thought he could just, copy and paste. But the lyrics were actually different, and it changed the entire meaning of the song. Oops.
Yeah, it was a song with a story. It had a, beginning, middle, and end. And suddenly
we repress it,
and then suddenly we went back to the middle again
after it got fixed.
Yeah, and because you can, and you become lazy. Oh, fuck it. Can you just push? Can you do that? And of course we can. But I'd like to sing it again. Okay, try it again. I usually do like 5 or 6 takes of a lead vocal, listen through the whole thing. Then we, like we did in the old days. Oh, that line's good, da, da, da. And then, put it all together, which I've always done, which, that's the way you record anyway, since the 60s, same old way. But you can, if you got to have it done by tomorrow, you can fake a lot of shit. And it's disturbing, to say the least, because you don't have to be musical. And a lot of real musicians are out of work because they don't understand the technology or don't want to understand it,
Well, like the listener probably doesn't care about the process of creating it, in general, the listener. Yeah. Some people obviously do, like purists, but like I don't know. Sometimes, like in all of the people that we have on the show, you know, I'm releasing my first track September 30th ever, and I'm 50, and I'm a metal guy, and you know, like I'm just I'm singing and playing guitars, and then we had Kent Slusher from Luke Bryan's band play the drums, and Scott Wilson from Saving Abel on bass. But I mean, it's like when you go into the studio to produce a track, it's super weird. I thought everything that I learned about singing, I learned from people like Graham, like people that just could belt, you know, belters like Graham and Brian James Dio, and like, you know, Bruce Dickinson and all these different great belting singers. But when I got into the studio to record, they were like, we're going to auto-tune no matter what you do. I don't care if you walk in and you drop the mic and it was awesome, we're still going to auto-tune it. Yeah. And it's like, everything is just like, you're right. There's almost no reward to become a good musician anymore. Like, so now the reward is just knowing that you're a good musician and having other musicians say, hey, you're a good musician. But like the end product, there's really no ego tied up in it anymore, because it's like everyone knows you could suck and they can make it sound good. You know, so
also, whether it's your record or whether it's the new record from Beth-Ami and Graham, you know, you guys are still in charge. I mean, you're paying the guy. You can say, no, I'm not gonna, you know, auto-tune that. I like the way my voice is slightly slurring out of pitch here.
Or whatever. But
the mistakes were the cool parts, you know, right, Graham?
Yeah. Well, we keep, because of Conrad, we keep it within the family, so to speak. So we make sure that if we go through all the vocals, I did it yesterday with Conrad, go through all the vocals, and we'll say, okay, that's a bit funny. There must be another, say the word butter or something. Whatever. There's the song with butter in it. But the T-H-E. I didn't quite hit it right. But listen to the way the quality of the voice is on that particular word. And if you lose that, you lose the vibe of the whole song. Sometimes you can be out of tune. But I fall into the trap of listening to every freaking thing so closely, I drive myself nuts, because almost everything is out of tune a little bit. You know, it's never dead on. You know, because once you use vibrato, for instance, you're in tune, out of tune,
sure.
That's what vibrato is, and you can't fix a note that does that. And I use vibrato, but you know, it's not quick, or my vibrato's in between somewhere. So you kind of can fix it or totally flatten the vibrato out. But then the mood of the line in the song goes completely, because there's no feel. And sometimes you can sing out of tune, and the feeling is great. I don't mean really out of tune. I mean, hello, you know, all over the place like that. I mean, just slightly, to be annoying to the listener, who is usually me. And I'm my biggest critic. I'm sure you are with your singing. You know, if you hear a note that's a bit wobbly, you go, oh, fuck, let me do that again. Or can we do something with that mechanic?
Well, on that note, Graham, have you ever listened to the five tracks and put it together and comped it up, and then gone back and said, you know, I actually kicked ass on take 2, or is the comp always the thing?
Sorry, what was that? The last bit?
Yeah, you cut out the last
you broke
question.
up with it.
Oh, okay. I just meant, you know, if you're listening to your 5 tracks and you're comping them together, do you ever go back and listen to like the straight tracks and go, what did I just spend 6 hours for? I killed it on the first take. Have you ever had those?
Yeah, that happened yesterday. You bring that up right yesterday. I did the run through, you know, without even thinking about it. And Conrad said to me, wait a minute. He said, why are we doing another 5 out of, or 4, whatever? He said, listen to this. This is the first verse on the song from just testing the microphone, you know, see if you're getting the bollocks, you know. And it was better than the later ones, because you get bored with it, you get tired, and you go, oh, God. another time, you know, and it can go on for freaking hours. And the first take was the best, and that can happen. I remember there was a guy in London. I can't remember who, but he's a keyboard player and a singer. Oh Christ! Oh, Ray Sullivan, Gilbert O'Sullivan, he was called. Ray Sullivan, anyways, a great songwriter, and he recorded a song on his piano, an upright at home, and a cassette machine. And he played it, and he played it to the record company, and they went and said, "Oh, we can make that sound really great. We can put strings on it here, a bit of this here, you know, a bit of reverb on that." And he said, "No, put the track out from my cassette machine." He said, that's better than all this, you know, Phil Spector thing. You know what I mean? And it was better. It had the feeling and everything. Like, you know, like one of Paul McCartney's best songs is Blackbird. That was done totally live at the back of Abbey Road Studios outside. And he did it playing and singing. I mean, that song is great. The way he plays guitar and, well, the feeling of it is just, I mean, he's not like fucking an opera singer or anything, but he has great feeling and honesty. And when you can sing, if you can sing too well, it becomes dishonest, if you know what I mean. I like people who, do you know what I'm saying?
No, it's when they,
you know, can do 10 million notes on one word, but then soul is, the feel of that one word is gone.
Physician, heal thyself. You're the one that he sings these bits like "Suffer Me," where sometimes his voice cracks with emotion, and he gets completely freaked out. I'm like, that was the feeling. That was you singing about your mom. We all felt that moment. And he's like, "Ooh, my voice cracked." I'm like, so what? Yeah. You know, it cracked because you were feeling emotion.
No, it's I can relate to that. Like the track that I did, I scream right at the end for a really long, powerful kind of high note. And after they tuned it, it sounds too pure. It's too clean. It took all the grit out of it. So I'm going to have to go back now and record grit and blend it with the original take so that it sounds good.
Just have if you nailed it, you nailed it. I mean, that's the kind of thing with modern recording today that be crazy. So you've got someone like Graham or a singer who's recorded a lot of hits, and an engineer today goes, "We can do better. I can fix all that stuff." It's like, how can you do better? This person is a brand already. This person has had already. This person is a personality already. What the fuck are you doing? You know, just because, you know, your ego's involved, and it's like, I got to turn a knob to feel like I've engineered it or something, you know? It's nuts.
I think the ego comes in with me a little bit because I'm trying to do the same thing. You know, I'm trying to please myself, first of all, to be that singer that I remember when I was, you know, 16 or 17 or whatever, you know, because, but at the same time, I have to sometimes leave things and say, okay, that is good, isn't it? You know, you're not really sure and all that kind of thing. I remember George Martin, again, back to the freaking Beatles. Sorry about this, but they did Twist and Shout, and the original version was by who was it? The Isley Brothers, I think. I'm not quite sure.
That's
remember the Beatles covered Twist and Shout? Was it the Isley Brothers?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Whoever the hell it was.
I'm gonna look it up.
At one point, the vocalist who was doing the lead on that, his voice cracks at the shake it at the very last verse or chorus, whatever. Shake it up, baby, and the very last one he was shake it up, baby, and it cracks. And George Martin said to John, "Keep on singing," and John was going, "But my voice is going." He said, "Exactly." That's what he wanted. Listen to the original. And see how the emotion comes out because that guy's voice cracked. And John sang it until he got that same or similar sound on the last verse of Twist and Shout. I know I'm going back a million years here, but that's how old I am. But it works. You know, singers want to give up after a while because you do get tired because, you know, you're using your whole body. And
it's very physical. Absolutely. Well, hey, we're at the top of the hour. So we've actually been going for 59 minutes here, just to let you guys know. Time flies when you're having fun. But I wanted to give everybody a chance to wrap up here. So Beth-Ami, you've probably talked the least in this interview, although you've been on the show before, so we asked you a lot of questions. But why don't you closing comments for Beth-Ami first, and then we'll go to Graham, Michael, and then I'll wrap it up.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, that's not rock and roll. Say something crazy. No, I'm just kidding.
You know, we've done things together before, and it's always the spotlight's on Graham, as it should be. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm just here. I'm his partner in crime. I'm just here to help him, and I'm the sidekick. It's all good. So, yes, you're right. You had me before, and I dominated. Oh no, Tommy Ray did actually. Never mind.
That was one of the most beautiful mixed martial arts vocal matches I've ever seen.
What?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
I said that's one of the most
people competing for talking.
mixed martial arts vocal.
All right. Yeah.
What,
interview.
Tommy and I?
Yeah. Back and forth.
Well, I didn't have I just was using my computer mic at the time. I've subsequently learned, and I've got a snowball going right now. But
No.
Yeah, those are nice.
her voice is so much bigger than mine, as is Graham's.
Yeah. No, it was more the energy between you guys. Boom, 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 boom.
You know what it is? That's the two. Whenever we get together, it's like that. That's not put on. We are just insanity when we get together. And, we don't see each other that much. So even if it's online, when we see each other, that energy comes up because she's my bestie. And, also there was a little alcohol involved. So.
So
Yeah.
Graham, what's your closing remarks for today?
Not long live rock and roll, but
I'm sorry. That's
what is
been
it?
bothering me
Yeah,
this whole time.
my hair's falling out and all kinds of stuff here. Well, if I had my time again and I knew more about the business, I think I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. If I'm in business, I think I'd be a manager and not a singer, but that's in me. But because people always ask me, young kids say, what shall I do? How do I get into the business like you? And I say, don't. Until you know about every fucking thing that the money you're earning, where it's going to, that big car that drives up outside and picks you up every morning, you're paying for that. I didn't know that back in 1968 because I was driving all the rest, so like everybody else, Ronnie Dio, the Bee Gees, etc. I was working with back then, But be very careful, be aware of the business. Play the music and enjoy the music. Put your soul into it, but beware of the business. The end.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
Mike, what you got? Closing. Take us home, Mike.
Just thanking Beth-Ami and Graham for being on. Thanks for sharing your wisdom. It's always awesome. And I hope the new record is fabulous. And someday when you can tell us who's drumming, that would be awesome too. But
I think he slipped up and I heard it.
Well, we'll just wait for it to come out. But good for the new record.
Dave Clark.
Big name. Somebody with a very big name.
I'm gonna tell you after the interview. Don't leave. I want to know if I noticed it or not. I think I know
okay.
it is now. All right, cool.
Oh, really?
But
I was going.
well,
Well,
so anyway, Matt Gibson, Kingdom of Rock. Thank you, Graham and Beth-Ami, for being on the show. It's been an honor. It's so cool. Like I remember owning Alcatraz records back in the day and listening to them, and you're definitely one of my heroes. And really have followed you guys for quite a long time. So it's a pleasure to have you here.
Oh,
and I did also want to say, go check out the Graham Bonnet Band. Where can they check you guys out at? Where's a good place to find out about what's going on?
Pandora, iTunes, it's everywhere.
Yeah,
Okay.
what she said.
We also want to thank everybody who's watching. It's Dan Wright he's tuning in from. Well, that's awesome. He says, I'm glad to the podcast. Peace, love, and volume. Thank you, Dan. Steve, you've been with us the whole show. That's awesome. Scott F.
Yep.
Sorry to get to your question. Mac, Jan. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And we'll see you next Thursday.
Peace out, Kingdom of Rock.
Yeah.